Assalamulaikum everyone. Welcome back to Project Manchala. If you're joining for the very first time, my name is Mohammed Abbas Merchant. I am a photographer and filmmaker based in Karachi, Pakistan. This is my podcast where I essentially talk about anything and everything that I want to. So today we have a very special guest on. He is a friend of mine back from all the way from O levels, and is now one of my peers in law school. So today I have my friend Arsal Jafri on board with us, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about how our experience in the UoL LLB department has been for the past 2 years now, and then how we as law students had to adapt and evolve due to the ongoing global conditions and how the UoL adapted to them as well. So before we begin, I'm going to kick it over to Arsal so he can introduce himself to you guys, and then we're just going to kick things off from there. Arsal, if you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abbas, for such an amazing introduction. Uh, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Arsal Jafri. I'm also Abbas's senior. I have been his senior for quite some time. This comes back from O levels, I think, and now we're together in the LLB department as well, and I'm a senior there too. So we're going to be talking about how the online exams affected us in this year.
Awesome. So I think just to give you guys a brief idea of what UoL is, for those of you who don't know, the University of London is essentially a very similar to program to how Cambridge conducts their examinations. Essentially, it's an online degree program that allows you to study the same modules and the same type of learning while sitting in your home country. So just like the Cambridge के आपके एग्जाम्स होते हैं मई जून अक्टूबर नवंबर में, उसी तरीके से हमारे भी एग्जाम्स होते हैं, they go to get graded and then we get them back and then हमारे उसी हिसाब से चलता है. So it's a 3-year degree program as opposed to the 5-year Pakistani law degree program. And it's one of the biggest reasons why a majority of people feel the need to opt for this rather than that one. And I think, yeah, so Arsal, what were one of the few reasons why you ended up for UoL rather than going for, let's say, the Pakistani degree?
Abbas, I think one of the reasons you just mentioned was the duration, the 3-year program. That was definitely one of the reasons that attracted me. Moreover, the ranking of University of London was also one of the reasons why I chose this program. Basically, so let me tell you this. Before I came into the UoL program, I was gonna go directly to the on-campus programs, but after comparing the ranking of the university I was choosing before, and then obviously the university I chose, so you know, being in my home country, at my own comfort and doing this prestigious degree, that's one of the reasons why I chose this program. And of course, for those of you who don't know, there's a huge cost difference as well if you go on campus and if you just sit here and do this foreign degree.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that whole price change that you mentioned, that's one of the things that often I feel like people either overlook or don't really take into consideration when they're planning on going abroad, right? It's like वो पूरा living cost सारा, I feel like a majority of people don't often calculate the living cost. They're like, oh, okay, fee structure ऐसा है, ये ऐसा है, वो this all of that.
Yeah, they don't.
पहले साल में तो accommodation मिल जाती, फिर उसके
Yeah,
बाद से
that's
people
what
don't
I
really.
think. Matlab,
वही हो जाता है ना कि they calculate the first
yeah,
couple of
exactly.
years,
The
but then उसके बाद
traveling
फिर जब accommodation खत्म हो जाएगी, उसके बाद से फिर they haven't stopped calculating, and I'm just like, guys, it's a lot more than you're realizing.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
exactly. I mean, that's what I think. Basically, spending that much on your undergrad, I think, you should just save that money and spend it on your grad school instead.
for sure, yeah, definitely.
That's
So
my opinion.
so still you are now a third year law student, right? So you've been in this
Yeah,
program
yeah.
for about two-ish years, 2.5 years now. So far, how would you say your experience has been? And to like someone who is at a position where they're deciding, okay, मैंने आगे शायद law pursue करना, what would you tell them about this degree that is a positive that not even the websites and all of these blogs would mention? What's your personal experience that you would think, yeah, okay, this is something that's just so good that I have to mention?
Okay, one of the things that I think was the most amazing thing about this degree was that throughout my journey, what I've learned is that these people will encourage you to have an experience of how the whole litigation thing works, and that is through the mock trials we do, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you're aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so जो basically जो है क्या कहते हैं I feel like in most of the law schools people have this problem of choosing whether they are going to go for litigation or for the corporate law.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the things that matlab our UoL program through the teaching institutions is teaching us कि भाई, you know, let's say if I'm someone who's doing mock trials for like straight 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so basically, मुझे फिर I'm only getting an experience and exposure of how litigation works, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting no experience of how corporate works, right? So UOL के there are some programs, summer programs, जो कि आप अगर if you take them online, so that's just an basically brief overview of how corporate structure works. That is for like 3 days. So that's being offered free of cost, and you know that's also being offered in matlab, your free time. So I basically think जो है क्या कहते हैं that's the one thing जो आपको ना आपके प्रोफेसर ना the experience unless के experience मिल रहा है तब तक आपको नहीं पता चलेगा कि you know if you want to go for corporate or litigation. I'm still confused okay if I'm going to go for corporate or litigation after like doing those four. I think I've taken those classes all 2 years, and I'm still confused if I'm going to go for corporate or litigation. So one thing that you know I would recommend everyone is that uh, from day one, matlab, don't leave it for the end air.
Mm-hmm.
Start deciding this and thinking about this from day one, like whether you want to go to corporate or litigation. Because when I first came into this degree, I remember people telling me that matlab, it's very early to decide abhi ke, you know what you're going to do. But I feel like that was the right time. Matlab, if had I like decided us work, so I wouldn't be confused abhi about all of it.
For sure, yeah, that sounds great. So one of the things that I'm hoping to address later on in the episode is how our personal experience with the online examinations last year went. So in contrast to that, you've already given, I believe, two of your exams written, like your normal Inka Tracker.
Yeah.
So how exactly did that go? And for the people who are coming from, let's say, an O and A level background, or even just like an intro background, what would you tell them to look out for the written exams? And generally, how was your experience with written examinations?
Right. So basically, you know, if we go, matlab, online examinations matlab, didn't do that good with me.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
वो तो we'll get
I
into that.
don't think
That we'll get
they
into
were.
that. I feel like वो तो मिर्ची एकदम ऐड में डालेंगे. But generally, like
Yeah,
overall,
yeah.
how did your like in comparison to let's say the written examinations, how did those go?
I written examinations really well. Matlab, for someone, I think first years are usually scared of criminal law. Matlab,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Matlab, you're an exceptional case. So you liked criminal, but we were all very
Mm-hmm.
okay. No personal attacks. We were all very scared of criminal law, but you know, after giving that written examination, I feel like there were so many things that we didn't have to like focus on. मतलब हमने जो मतलब we studied, and obviously some things were ratified, but even if they were ratified and there was some plagiarism from the guide or the book, so that wasn't taken into accountability when there were मतलब written examination, right?
Mm-hmm.
But abhi with our online examinations, we matlab, as students we were not aware of matlab, the actual situation. We had no idea
Mm-hmm.
कि क्या क्या हमें consideration में लेना है और कितना कुछ you know strict
Mm-hmm.
scrutinize करेंगे ये लोग उस चीज को. मतलब I feel like we weren't aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember matlab ke last year in May, we were told that we might have this trial examination run. Obviously, these people weren't ready as well because you know how we until like March, I think we were told that we will have an online written examination, and then all of a sudden we were told that we'll have an exam that will be that in which we'll be monitored through the cameras,
Hmm.
right?
So we
And
were
that didn't
basically
work.
told around mid of May that the exams would be happening online. They would be monitored.
Yeah.
And basically, the way that they were monitoring them was through this software called Proctor Track, wherein they have access to your microphone and your video camera, and they were to be on during the entirety of the exam. Expect the time the examination was supposed to be 3 hours or so, and during the entire
Mhm.
time you'd be monitored, right? So, basically the biggest issues that came out of this platform or however they wanted to call it was they didn't take into account a lot of people's individual situations. Now they didn't consider the fact that a lot of people who are giving these exams come from developing countries. Majority of us, let's say from Pakistan at least, we don't have access to constant Wi-Fi. We don't have access to constant power. And given that these exams are happening in May, June, this is a time period that every Karachiite is probably very aware of. This is load shedding time. So giving
Yeah.
these exams उस वक्त was so stressful because I was like यार बीच में लाइट चली गई तो I'm gonna be screwed. मेरा एग्जाम तो बंद हो जाएगा. And
And I'm telling you, this actually happened with me. Matlab, I'm glad I had my mobile device on. Otherwise, there was like 5 minutes ka break, जिसमें I had to submit the paper in the last hour basically,
mm-hmm,
and light went, and obviously it was raining matlab badly,
mm-hmm.
so matlab the generator was taking time to start obviously, but I had a total of 5 minutes. अगर उसमें मेरे पास mobile data नहीं होता तो my 1 year would have been wasted basically.
Exactly. And then some of the biggest issues that I believe that you and I personally faced was the fact that we felt that हमारी सारी जो शिकायतें थी all of our complaints that we had, they were falling on deaf ears when we were trying to complain to the UoL. Because I remember people from all across the world, but especially people from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, we were all just constantly on their heads, repeating the same things over and over again, but they weren't willing to listen. We're like, listen, हमारे पास लाइट नहीं रहती, हमारा वाईफाई इतना स्ट्रांग नहीं है, हम पूरे 3 घंटे का एग्जाम ऑनलाइन ऐसे नहीं दे सकते. एंड इट्स जस्ट माइंड बॉगलिंग टू मी कि पूरी दुनिया जिस तरीके से ऑनलाइन एग्जामिनेशन कर रही थी वो ये लोग क्यों नहीं कर सकते. लिटरली यू हैव
Yeah.
प्लेसेस लाइक IBA, लम्स, पता नहीं क्या CBM एंड ऑल ऑफ दीज पीपल, दे आर लाइक 12 घंटे लो बेटा, एग्जाम यहाँ पड़ा हुआ है, यहाँ से उठाओ, डाउनलोड करो, फिल आउट करो, अपलोड कर दो, 12 घंटे चिलिंग. एंड आई एम जस्ट लाइक कि ये गोरे who are but they're supposed to be smarter, right? I feel like I probably
Yeah.
shouldn't be saying this considering we're still
Yeah.
studying.
No,
And it's
not
fine.
after not
It's
after what
fine. They don't care.
we went through.
Yeah, I mean it's justified and technically speaking they can't take any legal action against us. Anyways, तो अब ये साले गोरे जो हमसे बेहतर होते हैं allegedly, खैर हमसे बेहतर होते हैं,
Hmm.
अब हम इन गधों को समझा रहे हैं कि भाई ये नहीं होगा, लेकिन नहीं, सुनना ही नहीं है. डीन साहब को तो
But
सब पता है. डीन साहब को
one of the
सब पता
reasons he
है.
gave was one of the reasons he gave was कि भाई this degree is too prestigious to be मतलब to be given that way, and that's just I think absurd कि he
Dude, I
actually
have I have the
gave.
direct quote right here. So basically, so we have basically had like two live FAQ sessions where you were allowed to ask them whatever you wanted, and they were supposed to
I think
basically
you were
allow
present in
everyone.
both. Yeah.
I was present in both, so I have my notes right in front of me. I made notes for these stupid things just for such an occasion later on. So we asked
I
them why are
remember
the
that night
exams. So
when
we
you
asked
were.
them why are the exams happening as they are. So he's like, we are 6 schools under one banner. We aren't the only UoL program conducting exams this way. We are one of three, which was bullshit by the way. We were the only one conducting exams the way that we exactly were. And then the main justification for why we couldn't have exams in the way that we just explained, we don't want you to feel as if you didn't work for your degree. I'm sorry, but are you daft? Do you not know how mehnat goes, I worked my butt off for this degree this entire past year. If I'm giving exam in a different sort of format, it doesn't take away from the work I put in already. And just because I'm not physically writing down my answers with my pen doesn't mean that it's not the same exact thing. I understand where a lot of people, apart from you all, were coming. Okay, oh, it doesn't feel right. Okay, it's essentially open book. I'm like, though, you all do realize in your professional life, you won't be expected to memorize every single thing. You have
Yeah,
all
matlab
of your
for all
resources
the
available to you.
laws, yeah, for all the laws and the cases, matlab you'll be taking those books to the courts. Agar if, for instance, agar beech mein you're stuck somewhere, you're allowed to look into your notes and address that to the judge.
And apart from that as well, dude, like when you have teachers who are practicing lawyers, I remember on numerous occasions it happened where our teachers couldn't remember the name of a case बीच में class के, and it was fine
Hmm.
because जितनी केसेस हमारे होते हैं, हमारे एक एक चैप्टर के पता नहीं कुछ 10-15 केसेस होते हैं, और हमारे काफ़ी ज़्यादा चैप्टर्स होते हैं, और फिर उसमें सब सेक्शंस इतने अलग अलग आते हैं. लाइक अभी आजकल,
Yeah,
सो we're doing tort law, which is essentially civil law, cases that you take up against a state or a government body or something like that, for those of you who aren't from a legal fraternity. And so we're doing topics like negligence, right? I said you probably know this better than a lot of others. नेग्लिजेंस में कितने सब टॉपिक्स आपके आते हैं, और हर सब टॉपिक में एटलीस्ट 10 से 15 की केस आपके होते हैं, नॉट इवन जस्ट केसेस इन
yeah,
जनरल, की केसेस आपके 10 से 15 होते हैं. तो इट्स
exactly. And then
completely
you have to
normal.
prove everything step by step in order to have your final claim accepted.
And it's just insane कि they think कि we, just because we're giving it in a different sort of environment or a different sort of position, we aren't putting in the same effort. I can understand how they would feel like that, but I feel like that's not giving us enough credit for the work that we've already put in. I personally am in the firm belief that for international students who are already giving exam in a very different environment than how generally university examinations are conducted, we should be given some leeway, right? Like I've personally mentioned this to the Dean of Laws of UoL on numerous occasions. I believe that international students should have a assignment based marking system, because we have certain modules which require us to submit an assignment, often which isn't marked. It's part of the examination, but it's essentially like for O-level students, if it's like, what was it called? The pre-release. I said, do you have computer in O-levels?
I think so. Yes,
Do
yes,
you
I
remember
did.
the pre-release thing, the coding thing that we got before the examination? They gave us this entire list of things that we had to do, and then exam में फिर वही exactly आता था. But because coding was difficult, they didn't expect us to remember it beforehand.
Yeah, and then that is how it should have been.
Exactly.
Coding is
So,
like very difficult.
so that's essentially the sort of thing that we sometimes get. So I'm firmly in the belief कि आप assignments जो ले रहे हो, आप वैसे ही वो ले रहे हो, उनको mark कर दो. Because I mean, I'm firmly team K, written examinations are dumb and should not be a thing anymore, because you're giving way too much weightage to just one day. And I know a number of people, including myself, who often fumble up exams. Exams are not fun, dude. And
No,
it's
I agree. I agree.
it's stupid, because I personally believe K, if you have one bad day and that day is the exam day, तो पूरी साल की मेहनत गई. And university is expensive, dude. This is one thing that everyone knows very well who's listening right now. University is very, very expensive. If you're in a country that doesn't offer free education, education is very expensive. And this degree is not cheap by any means whatsoever. हमारे एक exam is how many pounds? Like 100 plus, if I'm not
Uh,
mistaken.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's 100 plus pounds per exam. And these people don't can't give, like they can't give us enough credit or even enough room कि यार अच्छा ठीक है बच्चे हैं, they're still trying their best. Like I even wrote like a proper full thing कि ऐसे ही देखें. If nothing, there's nothing you can do. आप दो assignment based चीजें कर दें. एक at the start of the year, like some mid of the year, and then एक आप at the end of the year कर दें. उनको दोनों को 20 marks percentage दे दें. कि इतना हो कि बच्चा अगर उसमें दोनों में full marks ले आए तो वो एटलीस्ट पास हो जाए मॉड्यूल के. आप 60% एग्जामिनेशन में दे
Yeah,
दो. That's easily doable. And this is the exact same module, sorry, not module, but it's the exact same methodology that universities generally follow. You're supposed to give assignments, you're supposed to give presentations. We're not getting that in any case because of being international students. So I feel like this is the least that they could do to make the experience better for us as well, right? Because
yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, we're still UoL students. We're still the ones who are going to be representing them at a later point in life, and we're going to be the ones who are telling people to either go for this program or don't. But given the fact that we have literally just in this past year have just felt very, very neglected and often at times not unimportant, I don't think I'm personally going to be
yeah.
recommending the program to more people down the line. What do you think about that?
I think about matlab there have been instances अभी recently
Mm-hmm.
जब जो है क्या कहते हैं you and I both realized कि we मतलब we are not being given that much importance as मतलब let's go back to that day when we had the UoL representative at our own university, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were addressing our issues to him, and the reply we got was कि भाई life is very difficult, and if you're gonna be sad about such small reasons, then तुम life में कैसे work करोगे ना? Just move on. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I told him was, भाई, how about you write a check to us, and we'll move on for sure. So he had no reply to that, except he was like, okay, how about you send an email to the UOL directly, right? So matlab, at one point I felt like he was helpless too. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
matlab, there's not much importance being given to the South Asian countries or something.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, I felt like matlab, that was just his mindset move on, it's okay. He wasn't willing to understand कि भाई the experience we as students went through. मतलब I as an individual, I had some problems with the tort law examination, मतलब my portal crashed, and out of 4 questions, मतलब out of 2 questions, I could only submit my one question, and I took pictures of that, and I basically lodged a query, and I followed it, and जो है क्या कहते हैं, after following up the query for days, मतलब I didn't get any positive response, and that's when I realized that मतलब we are not as important as the students studying on campus there, because one of the drawbacks I feel in this degree is that you do not know your professor directly.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, while marking, your professor won't have an idea of how capable you are of being a better lawyer in future or something,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's one of the major drawbacks that I've been thinking about since day one. Okay, had my professor been in front of me and had we interacted, he would have known that it's just like you mentioned that uh, we can all have that one bad day on our exam day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to overcome that, had the professor known us, he would know that we are capable of much more than just what he's seeing on the paper, right?
It's very interesting that you point out that one instance of where the UoL representative had come to university. So I feel like one of the biggest things to recognize just about last year as a whole is that the general response from UoL was very apathetic to majority of people's situations because we were told, oh, okay, if you can't give the examinations, don't, just don't. Whenever you can, give them.
Yeah.
Health is more important. But they fail to understand that they were not refunding the money. They were not deferring the money to the next session. They were not doing anything to be helpful at all. They told us, okay, this is how the examinations are going to go. Get these devices. If you can't, you're not allowed to get the exams. If you don't have a webcam, get a webcam. If you don't have earphone, if you don't have a computer or something like that, get it. My friend who is studying in Zabis right now had to go out and buy an entire laptop to give these exams herself. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, we're already spending so much money on these degrees, but we're expected to
On
go out
degree
and buy,
itself, yeah.
and then we're expected to go out and buy additional equipment that we were not told we would be needing in the long run. And it's ridiculous because it was even worse because at the time, Pakistan was still facing heavy lockdown restrictions. Karachi was still under very heavy restrictions, and you weren't allowed to go out, especially if it's absolutely unnecessary. But in those conditions, they were expecting people to get more equipment. They were expecting people to give these exams, despite being told that this platform wouldn't work. And lo and behold, that's what happened. We gave two examinations with this Proctor track system. One exam which had about 1500 to 2000, I think there was commercial law, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Commercial
that
law
was
कुछ 1500
commercial law.
2000 थे. And इसमें से I think 10-15% had issues with the examination.
Yeah.
And then the next exam was criminal law the very next day. And criminal law के कितने बच्चे अंदाजन दे रहे होते हैं? Exam Arsal, can you tell us please?
I think matlab more than 5,000 something.
I mean, it's easily in like in the tens of thousands, if I'm not mistaken, given the number of students who are at any one point registered with the University of London. अब उस let's say 5,000. उन 5,000 बच्चों में से are still over 50% people had issues with the examination. A majority of people either weren't able to log
I
into the
feel like
examination.
50. Yeah, I feel like Abbas, the number was 70% because every other student's facing that issue. The one the commercial law students had, and I think that was when they decided to change their way
Exactly.
of conducting exams.
It was really frustrating because so अब मेरी class में 15 बच्चे हैं, right? Half the class could not
Right.
log into the exam. Half the class had their exam closing early and they weren't able to submit it on time. Yeah, उनका पूरा submit नहीं हुआ. I was the only one person जिसका exam आराम से हो गया without any issues whatsoever. But I was constantly so worried because they were like, अच्छा हल्की सी भी आवाज़ आपकी साइड से आई, हमें लगा कि आपकी साइड से कोई आपको कुछ बता रहा है, आपका एग्जाम कैंसिल हो जाएगा, बीच में इंक्वायरी आपके अगेंस्ट लॉन्च हो जाएगी, पता नहीं क्या क्या ड्रामे हो जाएंगे. आई एम जस्ट लाइक सो वरीड ड्यूरिंग दिस एंटायर टाइम. लाइक I have exam anxiety, right? I have never had exam anxiety as much as I did during that online examination because very similar to a lot of other Desi kids, I don't exactly have the best conditions in my home to give an exam. And the fact that I wasn't able to use earphones or anything to block out the copious amounts of noise that are going on around me, I was having difficulty focusing. I live in a joint family system. I have 5 kids in my house running around at any given time. I'll try to think about giving an exam, will be criminal law ka exam with that going on. So the fact that these
I can't
people don't
imagine how hard
understand,
that must have been.
and the fact that you pointed out, oh, if our professors actually knew us, it's really nice that you pointed that out because Abhi just recently, I've been going through a lot of different things on my family side, and it's really hindered my padhai. And the best thing about actually having the ability to message your professors at any given point in time is that I literally messaged all four of my teachers or all four of my modules. I was like, "Sir, Miss, ye issue ho raha hai mera. I might not be able to give the examination to the best of my ability, and I understand that this sounds like an excuse, and it actually is. But this is what's going on." And they were like, "Listen, there's no worries. We know you're a good kid. We know you're a good student. It's fine. Give the exam to the best of your ability right now. We'll literally help you cope up later on when you can." And the fact that my teachers, practicing lawyers who are willing to take out time out of their busy schedules, to give me this sort of treatment is one of the best things in the world. And this is honestly the sort of treatment that I wish UoL was giving us as well. they understand our individual situations and they are willing to compromise and just be better. I feel like the only good thing that they have done for us in the past year and a half now is that for any UOL student who's giving a retake right now, उस retake का re-registration के charges नहीं ले रहे ये लोग. That's the one good thing that I can see that they've done. अब अगर वो examination fee भी ना लें, that's just gonna like be really up there. And then it's gonna go out of the bare. That's gonna be like the bare minimum that they should be doing, ideally, in my opinion. What do you think?
Uh, I I think one of the things that you just mentioned, matlab ke let's for instance, I was thinking to talk about this as well. Do you remember that we were told that maybe matlab, we might have examinations in the centers this year?
Yes. So जो हमें last point तक हमें information मिली थी was कि इस बार exams written होंगे. इनको local centers से सारा go ahead मिल गया है. They were like हाँ written exams bro. सब on है.
Matlab, let me tell you this about I'm one of those people who was actually very excited for the online examinations till last year, okay? And then
Mhm.
it all became a nightmare for me once we were done with those exams.
Mhm.
And this year, when they announced that they would be having written examinations, so I was very happy and excited, even though given the fact that that clearly means that we will have to go through all the cases by heart, and we won't have
Mhm.
any book in front of us or anything at all. But
Mhm.
even then, I was so excited about that thing. Matlab, it's obviously because of the experience they put us through. Then
Mhm.
जो है क्या कहते हैं, then another email comes in कि, oh, it's confirmed, we will have online examinations, and they will let us know how they're going to be conducted and blah blah blah. But matlab, my excitement level went from uh, this to this after like seeing their email. Even though matlab, if I go back to last year, तो I मुझे तो लग रहा था कि there we are the luckiest on earth कि we're getting this chance. But little did I matlab, knew कि this would happen.
I think बात फिर वही आ गई ना कि हमारी जो expectations थी, those were not met at all. The treatment that we were expecting, we were not given at all. And the fact that we felt as if it was us against the university when it should have been the university and us against the whole situation.
Situation,
जिस
yeah.
जिस पोजीशन में यूनिवर्सिटीज और प्रोफेसर्स खुद अपने स्टूडेंट्स को ज़्यादा लीवे दे रहे थे, एक थी हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी जो हमें इतनी तक लीवे नहीं दे सकती थी कि देर लाइक ओके टेक द इजी वे आउट, टेक द इजी एग्जाम्स दैट वी कैन गिव यू राइट नाउ. एंड लाइक वर्स्ट केस सिनेरियो डूड, दे कुड हैव लिटरली जस्ट डन व्हाट कैम्ब्रिज डिड. आप एक्सपेक्टेड ग्रेड्स दे दो सबको, या सबको खाली पास दे दो
Yeah.
फिलहाल. ये जो थर्ड ईयर वाले जिनका
Or
थोड़ा
like
ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, उनका कुछ डिफरेंट कर लो
or
ताकि आपको
like
एक गेज हो
just
जाए.
or like just trust the judgment जो आपके जो registered centers की है, whatever they're saying कि भाई this student is capable of this, we've taken exams इसके and he's gotten this and we want you to grade him this. But that is the least they could have done to avoid all that happened matlab last year. Their online examination system was disastrous, I tell you. Matlab, it's not just us, but there are so many other students in so many other countries who had to face all of this.
It was really bad, dude. Like I had people messaging me all the way from Malaysia about their experiences. So I wrote a whole post about how the UoL system has just been very, very disappointing this year. How the grading has just been very, very unfair. I personally had one of my exams checked by a teacher, a different teacher than the one who taught me, so there was no bias involved. And they told me the grade that I was given was one rank lower than the one I should have gotten. And that really says something
Yeah.
about how the UL graded us this year. I wrote a whole public post on Facebook about it, and it got a decent amount of traction. It actually got shared around quite a bit by students all across the globe. And I was actually reached by a student, I think also another student from Malaysia, who was, along with a few other students, they were filing a petition to take up in the High Court for UK. So they were doing that. They were filing a petition along with different instances mentioned by students about their experiences, and my post is actually mentioned in that as well. So they contacted me about a couple of months ago, and I think they went ahead with it. I haven't received any word about it from that point onwards, but the fact there are so many people who are willing to rally behind such a cause and are just willing to do so much in the slight hope कि यार कुछ फर्क शायद पड़ जाएगा, when there's a very likely possibility that it won't make a difference because of January ho gaya. Results came out at least 3 months back. It's not going to make that much of a difference anymore. The fact that they are
Yeah,
just like
true.
हो गया ना, अब हो गया ना क्या करें. I'm like, you're not the one who has
Yeah,
to
just
go
move on.
back and put all of that effort again. You're not the one who has to go to their parents and go like, I worked my butt off, but I failed. You're not the one who has to go back and re-give that exam. It's heartbreaking that a majority of educators who I've met just generally in my entire life studying, they haven't been enthusiastic about education. They're all in it for one reason or the other, but none of it is ever education. My O level school was one of my worst experiences because the majority of those teachers didn't care about education. The only good education experience I've had was A levels, surprisingly, and that's one of the time periods that people genuinely don't enjoy in terms of padhai because of how Cambridge usually marks. But that one period was very, very good to me because I had teachers who actively wanted to help me, who were actively willing to go the extra mile. And if they could, they'd get TAs to do it and just help and be there. University, I'm getting those same sorts of teachers because of the place that you and I are currently studying at, and I love that. But at the end of the day, the regulation body or whatever, they don't care about us, and it's heartbreaking. At the end of the day,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, that's exactly the sad part about it.
like the fact that the dean of laws comes regularly to Pakistan and assures us, "Oh, we care about international students. Oh, we care about Pakistan." I'm like, no, you don't. You don't. झूठ मूठी सही,
No, no.
मेजॉरिटी आपकी जो जेब में पैसे हैं वो मुझसे ही आ रहे हैं, मेरे मुल्क से आ रहे हैं, मेरे लोगों से आ रहे हैं, फिर भी आप झूठ मूठ की सही, आप थोड़ी सी मेहनत हमारी तरफ नहीं कर सकते.
Yeah,
द फैक्ट
it's
दैट
just
ये
sad.
लोग अपने स्टूपिड ट्रेडिशंस और अपनी बुढ़ों वाली मेंटालिटी से निकल के आगे नहीं बढ़ सकते. आई डोंट know what to expect from this year. Last year they waited for the absolute last moment to say, okay, exams are going to be online. They waited for things to completely go wrong before allowing us to have the system that we wanted from the start. उसमें भी हमें टाइम लिमिट दिया था कितना लोगों ने, 2.5 घंटे, ढाई सॉरी नॉट ढाई
ढाई
घंटे
घंटे
2.5 घंटे
Basically 3 hours
ढाई
जिसमें
घंटे
2.5 घंटे आपके पेपर के and the rest 30 minutes मतलब for the submission.
Mhm. And like थोड़ा सा reading time भी beforehand दिया था, but you could use that reading time to just write if you wanted to.
Yeah,
So
I think hardly anyone used that time for submission. We were all writing till
we were all still
the
writing until the absolute last moment. The fact that, you know, I don't know. I genuinely don't understand why they took the sorts of approaches that they did. I don't understand why they are unwilling to, go a little extra mile for their students. Because at the end of the day, the thing that just keeps coming back to me is the fact that we as UoL representatives are going to go out in a couple of years into the world. We're going to be going to grad school. We're going to be going to do our bars. We're going to be going out to do our masters and all of that. And we're going to be meeting so many
yeah.
people, and they're going to be asking us, "Oh, where'd you do your bachelor's from?" Like the University of London, but I'm not going to be saying it with pride. When people ask me my O level school, I don't mention it with pride. And the fact that it's only been a year and a half so far, and I'm already just so disheartened with this program and with these people. Should say a lot about how they've treated us.
And it's not about how much of, if, like, let's just say, uh, कि the things we're expecting from them, we know they can mm, do all of that, right? But it's just that they're not trying to do it, right? So that's just heartbreaking there.
वो ये ना बात कि अब जैसे यू हैव मॉड्यूल्स लाइक LSM and tort law जिसमें आपको पहले से एक असाइनमेंट बेस्ड चीज़ आपकी आ रही है एंड you're already submitting that, but मार्क नहीं करेंगे आपको इस पर. एग्जाम में मार्क्स ले लो उसके लिए, मार्क आपको पहले से नहीं करेंगे. आई एम लाइक थोड़ी सी और
हाँ,
मेहनत
तो
कर
वही
लो.
ना एग्जैक्टली देन.
So the scariest thing that apparently I was told, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but apparently many of the people who check our exams aren't legal practitioners. They're not law professors. They're just people who are given a script that they are to read. If it matches that script, you get your marks. If it doesn't, you fail or just get bad marks. So I don't know if this is real. I don't know if it's false. It just terrifies me. That's some lazy work
It is
if I've ever
terrifying.
seen
It's
it.
scary. It's scary, and I want कि जो है क्या कहते हैं, I let's just pretend like we never talked about this here.
Let's just never upload this episode.
Yeah. Because this part, out of the whole recording, this specific part is the scariest.
This part's the actual the most depressing part. We're just like, oh my god. But no,
Yeah.
I think this so far this has been like the most emotional episode for me because I genuinely I'm just getting so frustrated and upset and emotional about it all because at the end of the day I want this to end on a good note. मुझे अभी भी 1.5 साल रहता है
Same.
and I just wanted to end it on a good note. I want to end it on a good note and just
I hope that's. I'm sure it will. Let's just
yeah,
pray
वही
and
ना
hope
कि
they have a better strategy and a better way to conduct exams
देखो
this
even if
year,
it,
this
even if it's
following
the way
year.
that
They'll
they
be sending out.
eventually adopted कि आपको एक certain time limit मिल रही है उसमें आप examination दो, even if it's that or just a little bit better, a little refined, honestly that would work absolutely fine.
Exactly. Exactly.
अगर थोड़ा सा बेहतर ये लोग कर लें it would be perfect.
Definitely.
Khair, I think that just about wraps up everything I wanted to discuss. Is there anything that you feel that you should add on in between?
Just that के जो है क्या कहते हैं, we've talked about how how many issues we faced this year. But another thing that matlab in the end I would like to mention and I think is important to tell us कि भाई before coming to this degree, I was going I planned on applying to University of East London, ठीक है, and I got in, and but the ranking was really bad, so I decided to come here, and I in matlab in that sort I haven't regretted my decision at all, ठीक है.
Mhm.
Like whatever we're studying and whatever I studied in first year before COVID started, I was having a really good time here. And also, not to forget, I was going to go for political sciences before I would come to law. So one of the reasons why I didn't get to go there was my visa refusal
Mhm.
to Canada, of course. So after getting my visa refusal, I was pretty depressed, and I had no idea what to, what I would do or what I'm supposed to do. But right after a few months, I came to this degree, and matlab, I haven't regretted it a bit uh, until ये वाला examination वाला system. So I would just say that it's matlab that the reason why we talked about how we are feeling all of this disappointment is because of how they conducted these examinations, plus how they treated us after the examinations, how we got the responses of our queries and questions. And it wasn't just us, it was matlab, students from all of the world, right? So, matlab, if you're planning to join UoL, it's not a bad decision, but just make sure you do it after COVID.
I think, yeah. I think the ending note is just that कि जो भी हमारे issues हैं, it doesn't come down to the degree itself. It just comes down to the people running the degree program. The fact that the degree itself is fine. I'm learning a lot of things that are genuinely very interesting, and I'm learning modules that are just genuinely actually very interesting and inspiring. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is very interesting. I didn't know about this. So there's a lot to learn and there's a lot to enjoy, even if you don't plan on pursuing law at a later degree.
And Abbas, one of the most fun yeah, one of the most fun things about this degree is those mock trials you go to dressed
Mm-hmm.
up as lawyers, attorneys, and then you present your case and then the final verdict, and it happens, right? You've been part of it, so I'm sure you would also know how
That for sure
amazing
genuinely
that
really
experience
helps.
is.
Like being put in that sort of position where you're like, okay, I am an adult, I am a lawyer, someone's life depends on me. It's a very thrilling experience, and it's unlike anything I've ever had before. So I think ending notes are essentially just, you were great, admin not so much. If you want to become a lawyer, probably do it after COVID, whenever that is. Don't know if that's a good idea. But I think at the end of it, let's just hope and pray for a better year this year, irrespective of how
Yeah.
it goes. Um, I'm hoping to have a more positive outlook for this year. I'm hoping to do things a little bit differently than last year. I'm also going, excuse me. I'm also going to be trying to do things that I learned from my experience with the exams last year, and I'm going to be applying that in a different manner. So,
Let's just another one of how.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm saying let's just do another podcast right after near and address if things have gotten better, matlab, if things went
Part
better
two.
for us or how it went.
No, for sure, for sure. Like we should definitely do like an update to this episode and go like, oh, so well, that didn't happen, but genuinely,
Well,
yeah, I
we
think.
went too much.
But yeah, genuinely, I think that this episode was very, very well done, and I think a lot of the people who are probably listening right now, who even aren't from the legal fraternity, will hopefully have had a good time. And yeah, I think we're just gonna end it right here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Ursula, for coming on. It was lovely to have you and finally work on something together like this. So it was a lot of fun. And inshallah, given how
It
this
was
year progresses,
lovely. It was lovely to be. It was lovely to be a part of this podcast, and especially to basically rant about how everything went for us.
I feel like you and I
And
needed this. This was
that's
essentially
about.
just like a
Thank
therapy
you
session
for
for the
having
both of
me.
us. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on board. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And let me know down in the comments below what you want me to talk about. And yeah, tune into Project Manchala wherever you get your podcast from. Take care, everybody, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Take care. Bye bye.
Again.